Any other questions before I get started? Okay. All right. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and use Z-spheres again. So I'm going to go and just draw one out right here. I'm going to go and turn on symmetry. Okay, there we go. And we'll just go and start making another mannequin. Is anyone running into any issues using the Z-spheres?
Is it possible to add Z-spheres, like after you've meshed the original mannequin, is it possible to add Z-spheres to that and then, okay.
No, once you turn it into a mesh, it's just a mesh. When you preview it, like when you hit the preview button, it'll turn it into a mesh.
Yeah.
And then you can go back to the original Z-sphere thing. You can add Z-spheres to that, but once you say make adaptive skin, it's a completely different thing by that point. So if you want to add, more mass to it, then I would say you would want to use insert mesh brushes to insert like primitives, and then just sculpt that way. Okay. So, you guys remember what pose that I'm putting the character into? A pose, exactly. Why am I doing this? Yep. It's easier to rig and it's less extreme. Exactly. These little bends in the arms and legs. So remember what I said about the reason why I put these in here?
So you don't forget where the joints are.
Yep. Exactly. If you need to check your proportions, don't forget we can rotate to kind of get an idea of where stuff is going to be. So this is better than huddling around a single computer, right? Yeah. I feel like the neck may actually be a little bit long. Let's go, come on, down here. And, okay, so something maybe like that. So, something, I don't think I mentioned it last class, but if you guys are going to be doing multiple characters, it may not be a bad idea to actually save this guy out and then use it for other stuff. So if you have like characters that have like different size proportions, like say if you're doing, Hawkeye or the Hulk, clearly two different size characters, you could just save him and then rescale the Z-spheres to kind of match whatever you're trying to do. And that would be a quick way to kind of get into character sculpting. Okay, so you won't have to start from scratch every time. Okay. A lot of times you'll see sculptors kind of like start off with bucks, and they'll use that to get themselves going. So just like a real generic sculpt. But this will work just as well. What was that position for the hand I was telling you guys about? So it's not that? No. That sounds about right. You thought it was a trick question?
Like you were like just testing us.
I just want to see if you guys listen sometimes. I don't know what they're doing, but I think they're having a party upstairs. Feels like it. So what?
So there's a party in Kate's room.
I don't even think that's in Kate's room. I think it's just someone like banging on the building and it just reverberates. Because apparently that day that we had like the really loud drilling noise, That wasn't just in here. That was like all over the building.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, this one got good pieces.
Because I asked Kate and I was like, what was going on? She said nobody was in that room. So it was somewhere else.
Wow.
So what do you do when you preview your skin? It comes up with these weird, like, it goes really long for some reason.
I'm not sure I understand what you mean.
Well, but like, for some reason my mesh, I just hit preview and then there's just this huge mesh just shouting out of the head and stuff.
Do you have a Z-sphere that's shooting out of the head and stuff?
No, not like this.
Do you have a Z-sphere that's kind of cutting through another one in a weird way? Because sometimes if they like sit on top of each other, they do some funky stuff. So they may have like a Z-sphere that's kind of hidden.
Maybe, possibly.
Check that and see if you do. Because I know that's like really the only time I have like weird stuff going on with Z-spheres is when stuff like that happens. Okay, that's not bad. Oh, he's got such long arms now. Oh my gosh.
Cartoon character, it works.
Huh?
Cartoon character, it works.
Something like that. I'm just scaling the arms up so it's a little more proportional.
So when you mask off a Z-sphere, it'll do the bridge as well?
I'm just masking it off just so I don't accidentally scale everything else. And then I just hit the scale tool and I'm just moving up like that. So. Actually, I don't even think I really even need to do the mask, to be honest. I'm just so used to doing masking and then scaling that I just do it without even thinking, so. Whatever works. Okay. All right. I think that'll work. So that will be him. Okay. Any questions about the Z-spheres? No? We're good? Cool. How do I switch this over to a regular skin?
Just the active.
It's the what?
Adapter.
Adaptive skin. Where is that going to be? Right where? How far down? Here? Oh, there it is. What do you know? Alright. I'm gonna click and make adaptive skin. Alright, where'd it go? Where's my mesh? It's in my subtools.
Should be the Zsphere command something.
So it's in the active Z tools.
Active Z tools.
Right here. Remember, subtools are here,
Oh, my bad.
Z tools are here.
Got it, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Alright. Let me grab some artwork. And we'll try to make this look like somebody. Where is it? There it is. Hmm. Where is the... So this is going to be basically just me remodeling an old character, but I think I might actually still have him.
How do you remove like this circles from the sea version?
Remove the what?
And the spheres, like I forget Z, like the Z sphere.
So, what do you mean removing the Z-sphere after you remesh? Is that what you said?
No, like what I meant is like how do you remove spheres that you've added on? Like,
Oh, Alt click.
I'll click on it.
Yeah. Sorry, I gotta check out this thing. I haven't seen it in like years. See if it's what I think it is. Yeah, there we go. Oh, we can do better than that now. This was an in progress demo I did like 3 or 4 years ago. So, we can do better. All right. All right, let's bring in an image plane. Where did you download to? Thought I went into downloads folder. Oh, okay. There we go. All right, cool. All right. So it's just kind of a cartoony version of me from about 3 or 4 years ago. So he has a couple of clothing items here, some glasses, the beard and hair cap, and then yeah. So let's go ahead and start making him. Proportionally, I guess I've forgotten, but he's like almost like chibi, I guess. Chibi scaled, so I want to like shorten him up quite a bit. The head's gonna be way bigger, and kind of go off of that. So I guess I'll do that. All right. Okay. Okay. All right, so I'm going to take the legs and shorten them up. I'm going to use the manipulator handles to do this. So just going to be a little bit easier, a little bit quicker to do it. So I'm just going to drag them from the end and just kind of shrink them down. And then we'll do the same thing with the arms. I'm actually just going to use scale for this one because I don't want to mess up the hands.
How did you activate the manipulator tool?
The what?
Is there a shortcut for the manipulator tool?
No, I mean, it's not a shortcut, but you just turn off the Gizmo 3D
Okay.
and it just swaps between the two. And the head still needs to be bigger. So I'm going to unlock this because I want the pivot point basically in the center. So I'm just going to tell it to recenter. And you'll see that the axis got kind of screwed up a little bit.
Sorry, can you share one more time how you just recentered that pivot?
Yeah, it's this button right here. So it's just going to go to the center of whatever mass selection you have. And so I need to actually reorient that pivot because that's like all kinds of screwed up right there. So I'm going to go and just tell it to reset the orientation and good to go. Now, once you're done with that, make sure you hit the lock and then you can go and start scaling and moving to your heart's content. If you also hold down Alt, that will unlock it as a hotkey right there. So then you can just move around wherever you want. Now that is closer to the proportions. I'm going to go ahead and zero mesh them real quick. And simplify that mesh. So now it should be a lot easier to work with. I can just start basically just kind of smoothing everything down. And I'm going to definitely need to shorten the heck out of the neck. So I just masked off the head, reversed it, so the body's masked, and then softened it by using Control-Click on top of the mesh. So what that's going to do is that's going to allow me to move that head down without creating too much of a clear cutoff on the neck. So just in case, you know, we're trying to just make it just a little bit smoother than what it would have been. Let's smooth that out. Yeah, we're good to go. Okay. So we're trying to put in some facial features now. So my head's kind of like a peanut shape. I've learned this after many, many years of looking in the mirror and drawing myself. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of move brush and kind of move it in, and then kind of just exaggerating the shape that's ended up drawing here. And I'm going to go ahead and drop in a primitive for the nose. So let's do insert mesh primitives. And I think a capsule will actually be a good option. So it's just kind of like a real basic, like little upturned nose. Now, since this is turned to the side, I actually would like for it just to kind of stick out a little bit. So let's turn off symmetry just for a second. And I'm going to go ahead and just rotate this guy 90 degrees. Now, if you hold down Shift when you do this, you'll see that we actually have a number down here at the bottom where it gives us the degrees of which we're actually rotating. Okay, if you hold down Shift, it's going to lock it basically like every 5 degrees. And so it's a real easy way if you need something to be at a certain, every 5-degree angle, we can achieve that. Okay. So we'll just go ahead and move that. Let's get symmetry back on. There we go. Any questions so far, guys? We good? Okay. Alright, so we'll do that. I'm going to go and do brown line now. So let's do another insert mesh. Capsules will be fine. So these won't become the final eyebrows, but they're kind of going to be mimicking the shape a little bit. What the hell's that?
Probably something like that.
It's a really weird single.
They should host a haunted house here. Make all the sounds.
Dude, right? We should. The Haunted Art Complex.
It just got built.
So many people died for the construction of this building.
Oh yeah, we're also about to do stuff.
Okay. Kind of sort of looks like one of those Mii's that like Nintendo does. All right, let's do another one for the ear. All right, so for this one, I'm actually going to be using some of the trimming tools with like the regular manipulator handle to kind of trim out some of the, just basically cutting the sphere in half to kind of get a little quick shape.
Wait, how did you do that?
Okay. So manipulator handles with the move tool activated, wherever you're pulling from the source, it's going to basically cut from the source out. So it's going to leave that, okay? If you do it from the other direction, it kind of just stretches. So it's got two different uses. Mm-hmm. This is looking a little thin right here, so let's use in flat to kind of puff it out just a little bit. just going to kind of push it in a little bit more. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and kind of build up the lip area. So just dividing it a little bit so I can actually get some build up in here. Put some cheeks in here. Do. Okay. And we'll cut in the lip using the dam standard.
What's your number of like active points right now? Poly count?
It's not a whole lot. I think I can move it over. There we go. 241. 241,000, not just 241. Alright. Let's go ahead and insert some eyeballs. I have to go and delete these first. Remember that anytime you want to insert a mesh, you can't have subdivision levels. So make sure you either freeze them or delete them before you try to do that. Okay, let's do insert mesh. Spheres. And we'll go and put in some eyes. That is terrifying. That's better. Okay. All right, so we got these in. Let's go ahead and split off the eyeballs from the rest of the mesh. So since these are already masked, or the rest of the body is masked from the eyes, I'm going to go ahead and go to split masked. So now eyeballs are one subtool and the body is another. And probably right now would be a good point to go ahead and dynamesh the body so that the brow, the nose, the ears, all of that's going to be one contiguous piece, just to make sculpting a little bit more easy. So let's go and do that. Make sure fingers don't get stuck together. Looks like they're fine. Okay.
So why would you not put the eyebrows on a separate subtool? Like, would that make
So these are not the eyebrows yet.
Oh, okay.
So not like the hair portion. This is more the brow, not the eyebrows.
Okay.
Yeah. So once I get to like extracting the hair caps, then I will bring these out as separate pieces.
I got you now.
Yeah. Okay.
And can you explain the difference between why you're using the insert mesh primitives as opposed to like appending a new shape?
So I'm doing the insert mesh because it's going to do it automatically symmetrical since I have symmetry turned on.
Okay.
And so for me, it's just like a step less than appending a sphere, putting it in there, and then doing the mirror and weld.
I got you.
So it's same result, just different way of going about it. Okay. All right, let's gouge out his eye sockets. Actually, you know, what would be a quicker way of doing this? Baleen? How would I do that?
Inserting the circle where it was, and then, or maybe like a little bit bigger than the eye, and then taking out that cavity, and then inflating the new eyes.
So walk me through the process. What am I doing?
So I believe you select the face first, and then the eyes, and then you.
So I'm selecting the face.
No. I'm gonna check my notes.
Okay. Ballini is going to make this go a little bit faster.
So the Boolean make. Wait.
Okay, tell you what.
Sorry.
So what I'm going to do is go ahead and make a new folder. We're going to put the eyeballs and the body into the folder. I want to make sure that this little arrow right here is clicked so it says start. I'm going to go ahead and click the remove button right here for the eyes, so the one that has a circle with the cutout to the side. And then what I'm going to go and do is click on live Boolean, and then his sockets are gouged out. Now I need to make this a real mesh. So the way I'm going to do it here, since I made the folder, is I'm going to go to the gear, Boolean folder. It's going to make a new subtool that is the Booleaned result. Which is this guy. have this one, and yeah, sockets. All right.
After the gear, what did you put on?
I just moved the eyes out of the folder. I ended up making a duplicate for some reason, so I just had to delete it. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and kind of build up some of the eyelids. Probably would help if this was symmetrical. So since it isn't symmetrical, let me just go ahead and make it symmetrical real quick. So let's do a mirror and weld. There we go. Excellent.
So I think whenever I tried mirror and weld before, it gave me like a seam line going all the way down the middle.
It could be if your stuff was not perfectly like in center of the palette or in center of the canvas, then it's gonna like shift it over a little bit in one way or another. So once it does do it and you do have that seam line, then it is definitely symmetrical.
Mm-hmm.
You just gotta smooth out that seam line.
How does he do the mirror again?
Say what?
Do the mirrors?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
How does he do the mirror?
It's gonna be under topology, modify topology, mirror and weld. So I want to try to pull the eyelids down, but I don't need to be pulling my eyebrows down as well. So I'm just kind of mask that off, and then I can go in and pull that as well. All right. And I'm going to go into and flat, because I do need to run another Dynamesh on this, but I do not want the edges of the eyelid to kind of get too thin. Otherwise, they're going to kind of break apart a little bit, so I don't want to do that. Alright, now we can go ahead and Dynamesh. There we go. Alright. I need to open up his mouth so the character can actually like speak. Difficulty is with humans, since we have we're so flat-faced that there's really, really the opening of our mouth is way smaller than the actual cavity of our mouth for most people. So it's going to be a little bit difficult. So usually what I used to do is just kind of mask off the bottom jaw, bring it down, and then kind of just punch it all in. I think this time what I'm going to do is make a interior cavity shape that's going to look kind of like a deflated balloon, and then have part of it coming out through the lips, so the lips are just barely open, and then balloon that out and see how well that will work. Because one of the problems is once you get it open, then you have to kind of close the mouth back to a neutral position, and that can sometimes create weird creases and be a little bit more of a hassle to deal with than it really needs to be. So let me see if we can do this and kind of avoid some of the problems that that students usually will run into. So let's try that. So let's do sphere. He's wearing a diaper. All right. There's a button down here that I can use to kind of be able to see through, like ghosting the meshes. Let's see if there's another way I can maybe get to it. Really got to get this thing fixed. Where would it be? Preferences? Okay, never mind. I'll just try to do it anyways. Actually, you know what? I have an idea. Let's take append. Give me like a weird anatomy session. Okay, we'll do that. Here's the inside of your head. It's like one of those cold medicine commercials. Alright. Scale that down. Okay. Alright, so I'm just going to kind of go in and basically just kind of force this into the shape, the general shape of a interior of the mouth. So it's just going to be basically just a mouth sac is what it is. So it's going to get real thin here since we have the lips coming out. Kind of looks like he's razzing us. And then you'll have the esophagus back here. So you definitely want to make sure it's a little bit thinner towards the edge up here. So the lips actually have a bit of a thickness to them. You don't want to do too much though, because the teeth, you don't want the teeth too far back. You want the teeth to just basically right behind the lips. I mean, if you're not sure, just like stick your finger in your mouth and you'll see the thickness you need. So let's go ahead and mask that. Something like this. And so that line is going to get a lot thinner. So let's do a pinch right here. And so that pinch is going to let me thin out this piece. We'll just move it back. It just needs just to barely just come through. Okay. So kind of like that. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So I have something that looks like this. Bring it out just a bit more. Okay. All right, let's try it, see if this works. So let's go ahead and take the body and do a new folder. Drop it in. Delete the folder. And oh, I had it set to add. Let me turn that back on. Set this to subtract. Delete this. Okay. I'll set to intersect. Subtract. There we go. All right. So I'll delete the folder. There we go. Now we have an interior of the mouth. Cool, huh? Yeah, that works. That's way better than punching the mouth in. I like that. Any questions? Okay. All right, let's go ahead and do Hairbeard caps. Make sure that symmetry is turned on. So to extract, like we did with the clothes last class, what did I do? So remember what I did?
Extract.
Okay. Where's extract?
On the bottom there on the project.
Okay. Then what did I do?
Remeshed it.
Not quite. I do adjust the thickness, but probably ought to see just what the thickness is. So that's what it's set to right now. Yeah, I'd say that's okay. I mean, you kind of want a fairly thick mesh that's going to work for you. If you have, you know, a pretty good difference between, like, say, like your hair length and then your beard length, you're probably going to want to do maybe like 2 different meshes, like one beard, one hair, something like that. Mine, you know, there is a difference. Not a huge difference as much, but I tend to keep my hair pretty short, so I can just do one. So anyway, I'll go with this. Looks fine, that'll work. Get some weird little boogers right here, but that'll be okay. Click accept, got a new mesh, and there we go. So I want to go ahead and get rid of these little extra booger things. So I think they're probably separate meshes. So let's go ahead and do a split. Split into similar parts. So we'll get rid of them this way, just delete them. You guys notice this little window that pops up here whenever you hit delete? So there is an option to click always OK. So whenever you hit delete, it just deletes it. So that's great if you're moving through stuff really quickly. I will let you know if you delete a subtool, there is no going back to it. If you delete it, it's gone. All right. I really wish there was a Control Z for like everything, but there's not for this.
So you
Yeah.
just saved and deleted it and just.
Huh?
So say you have this and you delete it, and you saved prior to that, you just like quit without saving.
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Why wouldn't that work?
I don't know. Just thought.
That'd be like malicious if the program like went back into your save and then like deleted it from all your saves.
That's evil.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this undo operation pop-up, that is for that specific operation, right?
For the delete, yeah. There is another one that'll pop up when you do merge. It's basically the same message because essentially you're getting rid of subtools. And so since there is no undo for getting rid of a subtool, since subtools have their own delete history or their undo history, there's not a document-wide, as of now, there's not a document-wide undo history, which would be awesome if there is. But as far as I know, there is not. So I don't need 2 beards. All right. Any questions so far about the sculpting process? Anything we went over? Okay. All right, so let's do a little bit of hair sculpting. So I'm going to do some snake hook. Snake hook is kind of a neat tool. It's a weird tool, but it's kind of like a move, but it's on steroids. So basically what it's there for is just to pull crap out. And it's really, really good at it. So it's kind of an interesting tool. It's a little bit too strong for my taste, but it'll be good for getting some of these like little tufts of hair. So I'm just going to go ahead and kind of pull up the scale, definitely pull down the Z intensity, and then kind of and then just kind of adjust it however you want. So I'm just kind of going on, just trying to make my beard look a little bit more uneven. Can one of you guys close the door for me? Thank you. Probably right in the center. Definitely go ahead and turn off symmetry. So otherwise it looks really obvious you have symmetry turned on. Okay. And let's kind of move and deal with this edge a little bit. Try to make it look a little less like someone rubber stamped a mask or strapped a mask to his face. A little more natural. Okay. So I'm just kind of pulling it a little bit closer to the ear. I'll push it a little bit closer into the skin, especially like right here, because it's pretty thin. Here on the sideburns. I don't need a whole lot there. Okay. Something that I do kind of like, that I feel like kind of pushes a little more of a stylized look, is kind of using the clay polish tool. So I showed you guys that, I think, like last week. So I'm just going to go in and hit polish a couple times. And so you'll see that it kind of like tightens up everything. If you do it too many times, it's going to look really gross, but I kind of like what it does, especially for stylized characters. Has an interesting look to it, at least. All right. So I want to go ahead and kind of build up a little bit on the hair. So I'm going to do a clay tubes. Let's do a spray, and we'll keep it as block, or as a square alpha. And probably bringing down that intensity. It'll just kind of create some interesting shapes that just kind of break up the surface a little bit. Not necessarily hair-like, but at least it's kind of, you know, breaking that up just a little bit more. Move this back a little bit. Bring it down, it's going to go into the beard, add a little bit of texture. And then we can use that snake hook again to kind of break up the hair silhouette just a bit more. Excuse me. Any questions so far, guys?
So like if our character's hair kind of like covers up, like say if we have a girl and her hair covers up her ears and stuff, should we just go ahead and not model the ears to make it easier to get her?
No, put the ears in. Just have the hair just covering the ears. Because you never know when you're animating if you do like something like that. You want the ear to be able to be revealed.
So should we just have the ears like a separate subtool on part of the mesh?
No, it'll be a part of the main head, just the same way mine are. So you would just model that in there. Yeah.
You just put the hair like around the ears.
So you're talking like if you have like a character like just with long hair,
Yeah.
right? So it would just be a separate subtool that would just go over it, like a blanket or a sheet. Okay. Alright, and then I'm going to go and take the rake tool right here and just go very lightly over the hair. And just give it just a little bit of a breakup. Don't want to go too heavy, it's just not going to look very good. But this will just kind of break up some of the tufts just a little bit. Actually probably need to subdivide. Going a little bit harder here at the hairline so it looks a little more apparent. Yeah, I think that'll work. Maybe do a little bit down here on the beard. Okay. And let's do clay polish. So that will tighten that up a little bit. We still got a little bit of that detail in there. But yeah, let's actually do a couple more times. There we go. Put in some of that detail back in there again because we lost it using clay polish. So I want like that kind of hard-edged look, but I still want to get some of this detail in here. It's on add. I haven't done ZSub. Okay. I think I'm happy with that. Okay. Might as well save. Any questions so far? Okay. It's 9:30, so I want to give you guys some time to work. So I'm only going to take a break for a few minutes, and then you guys can work for the rest of the class. How does that sound? Okay. If you want to take a look at your models, go ahead and have them up and ready to go, and then just call me over and I'll take a look.